Okay, this video is going over 3.6 for Math 990. So we're just going to kind of look through a few of these problems. So first, on this number 1, we're wondering, is x equals -8 and y equals 7 a solution of the following inequalities? Well, how do you think we find out? What we're going to do is we're going to substitute these x equals -8 and y equals 7 into x and y and see if it comes out to be true. So let's just do this first one. So we have -1 times x, I'm definitely going to be using parentheses, times -8 minus 9 times 7, again in parentheses. And we're going to see basically, we're wondering, is that less than 4? So -1 times -8, we get a +8. -9 times 7, we're going to get -63 is less than 4. And we can see that that is going to be less than 54, right? We're going to have -55 is less than 4. So yes, that's true. So basically when you're finding out if it's a solution, you just plug it in and see if it comes out to be true. You'll want to make sure and check all of those. Okay, for this one, we need to graph this line. So first we're just going to treat it like -2x plus y equals 1, just for the graphing part. So there's a couple ways you could do this. You could substitute points in, or you could solve for y and graph it using the slope-intercept method. And I think on this one I'm just going to plug in points. You really can't go wrong either way. So first we'll plug in 0 for x. So if x equals 0, we have -2 times 0 plus y equals 1. So -2 times 0 is just 0, y just equals 1. That one works out really nice. Okay, next we're going to have y equals 0. I always like to use x equals 0 and y equals 0 just because they make everything cancel and it ends up being a lot easier, in my opinion. Okay, so -2x plus 0 in for y equals 1. So now we just have -2x equals 1, divide by -2. So x equals -1/2. And then if we want, we can do one more point. Sometimes it's a good idea just so that you can make sure it's correct, because when you have 3 points, if they're all in a row, you can feel pretty confident you've done the problem correctly. So let's just do x equals 1. So we have -2 times 1 plus y equals 1. So basically -2 plus y equals 1. We add the 2 to both sides and we get y equals 3. Okay, so now we have those 3 points. I'm going to close this so I can do it on here. So we had 0, 1. I know we had 1, 3. And then we had, oh, my other point was 0, -1/2. So that's going to be right. Okay, now next I need to figure out, am I shading the right? Actually, yeah, we'll do shading next. We need to figure out, are we shading this side or this side? So what you can do is you can put 0, 0 in. So you can say, okay, we're going to substitute 0, 0 in. So that's this point right here. If it comes out true for this inequality, that means this whole side is true. If 0, 0 comes out false, that means this is false, and so it would have to be shaded on the other side. So we'll just substitute it. -2 times 0 plus 0 is greater than or equal to 1. So everything cancels. 0 is greater than or equal to 1. Is that true? No, 0 is not greater than 1, and so we're going to be shading this side. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll shade this side, and then we're going to do dotted or solid line. Well, this is equal, it's greater than or equal, and so that's a solid line, and so that will be our final answer. So let's go ahead and submit that. It's always nice to see the green. Okay, there we go. So that's how you do it. You're going to graph the line, either slope-intercept method, or you can find a couple points, and then make sure you do the shading and decide if it's going to be dotted or solid. Okay, this is another graphing one. This one, though, we're going to graph using a different method. So we know y is less than x plus 2. So basically when we graph, we're going to start just by graphing y equals x plus 2. So this is in slope-intercept form. That means it's in y equals mx plus b form. So when it's in this form, we know the slope is the number in front of x. So m is the slope. We can remember the slope needs to be rise over run. That's how we always do the slope. And then b is our y-intercept. Okay, so that means b is the place the line crosses this y-axis. Okay, and that will be as an ordered pair. It's always 0 for x and then whatever that y-coordinate is. Okay, so in this case, the slope is the number in front of x. Well, there's nothing written there. So what is it going to be? Well, the number in front of x would just be 1. Or if we want to think of it as rise over run, we can put it 1 over 1. Now we need to find the y-intercept. It's 2. Or if we want to write it as the ordered pair, it's always 0 for x, 2 for y. Okay, so let's go ahead and graph that. So we had 2 as our y-intercept, and then from that point, we use our slope to get to the second point. So we start here, we go up 1, over 1, and that's going to be our next point. Okay, so we've got it graphed. We used our slope and our y-intercept together. Now we need to choose which side we're going to shade. So we'll again plug in 0, 0. So let's do 0 is less than 0 plus 2. So 0 is less than 2. Remember, we're checking this 0, 0 point. So does that come out as true as 0 less than 2? Why, yes, it is. So we can go ahead and shade this side where 0, 0 is. Okay, last but not least, we need to decide is our line dotted or solid? Well, there's no equal sign this time, and so this will need to be a dotted. We might have to draw that again. There. Yep, you have to start with it the right way. And then that will be our final answer. Okay, so make sure, start with the dotted or solid line, and then graph your line, make sure you choose the correct side to shade, and then you'll be good. Okay, this problem, we have x is greater than or equal to -4. So one thing to notice here, if we did an xy chart, let's plug in values for y. Let's say we have like -4, -3, -2, -1, 0. If y is -4, well, there's no y value, so x is still going to be -4. If y is -3, again, x is still always going to be -4. So we can see no matter what, x is always going to be -4. Whatever y value they gave us, that's just always what x is going to be. So when we graph it, we want to make sure x is always at -4. It's equal to, and so we're going to have a solid line. X is always -4, so I can just choose 1 point there, 1 point there, and then we'll substitute in 0, 0 again. So 0 is greater than or equal to -4. Again, we're plugging in that 0, 0 point to see is it true there. So 0 is greater than -4, so it is true over here, and so that will be our final answer. So on this, if you're confused, you can do that little XY chart like I did, and then you can still do your test point and make sure you check for dotted or solid. That's going to be it on 3.6. Let me know if you have any other questions.